Taurus, welcome back. We're here to do your psychic update and what I see coming through for you. Any tips moving into March? Plus, as mentioned, we do have your mid-months coming up. I have added them to YouTube. If you want to come through and get them ahead of the crowd, you can get them through the YouTube membership separately. If you do remember to click the bell, you will be notified of any of the premieres coming up for your zodiac sign. We do have weekly content. We do cover the twin flame path, and there will be education content for that coming soon. Let's have a look at your zodiac sign and what my predictions are for you. Okay, now I'm sure a lot of you are going to feel as ready to take action, and some of you, it may be this premature energy. There could be a little bit of nervousness because everything can be coming at you. I would say keep grounded during that process and do expect the unexpected. You could also feel as though your energy in the initial stages is a little bit temperamental, and you could have a lot of focus at the minute, really where it does come to your career or your personal process of what you feel your identity is in the mix of everything, what your part is on the map of the world and in the lives of people around you. I do particularly feel by mid-month that energy is going to change, and there are two key areas. One is going to get a little bit easier, and that will be your belief systems and relationships with your siblings, or if you are completing study of any description and having to get paperwork, especially where it does relate to a big circumstance in your life. If you're having to address that, I do feel it would bode better at this point in February. Now, the two big themes that can come up, one is going to be a lot more accountability. So it could be that you're going to be either investing in something, purchasing something, taking on a leadership role, and it's going to be a brand new beginning, especially surrounding your home environment. So for some of you, it could be that you're purchasing a new home or needing to refinance. So we'll wait and see. Separately, the other area, again, is home. So there's going to be some sense of change. If you are waiting on a circumstance shifting, usually when we do have transits in those areas, it tends to go in our favor. But that's not to say this year in 2023 we can rest on our laurels. I have opened up a video on YouTube, which is the year of the water rabbit. Feel free to go through and have a look at that, which may have added insight for your element. So what I see coming through for your romance zone, let's touch base on that. Those of you that are single, there could have been a lot of crosswise. There could have been some circumstances surrounding your beliefs, surrounding stress levels to do with the circumstance. You also could be directly attracted to a person of a different culture and really be assessing. Sometimes we go through stages in our life and we say to ourselves, if I have somebody in my life that's exactly like me, maybe it would be easier. The other thing is, sometimes it's our ideals and belief systems, which are absolutely necessary inside of relationships. We do tend to navigate those things. Some of you could be taking a connection to the next level. There are potentials for reconciliations, but I definitely see lady luck on your side in the area of brand new beginnings. And I feel it's almost like this nagging thought inside your life that, to actually speak, to actually be open to your personal needs. You could be more verbal at this time. You definitely could be meeting people in your social crowd. This also can be a time where we can be kicking bad habits. But I do directly feel there's opportunities for communication to come through. But I do feel you still may need to see where you do have power inside of connections, regardless of your sex, regardless of your preference. So there could be something to do with how you deal with your self-esteem, how you deal with the past, what your belief systems are of what your life is. And I do feel particularly you want an element of independence. There can be a bit of insecurity there, but try to gain the confidence in that. Especially when it does come to wellness. I do feel it's going to come up for a lot of zodiac signs this month, that we are really addressing that in a courageous sense, and some of it can come up in our eating and well-being zone. So we will tune into that a bit further into your update. What else am I seeing? There can be transitions of home. There also could be, for some of you, a feeling that we are like a pyramid. So although we look at love, there is lady luck on your side surrounding love, especially with reconciliations. But I definitely feel in social crowds, you could be meeting people at gyms, you could be meeting people at your workplace. There is still opportunities for blasts from the past, but I particularly feel you could be reviewing whether both of you are on the same track. There is an opportunity for travel and a romantic getaway. If there were difficulties with meeting with people, it could be on holiday and a getaway that you meet somebody. Now, those of you in a couple gem, I do particularly feel there has been some tedious energy over the last few years for your zodiac sign. And if you've made it through this part, be super proud of yourself. It usually is deeply transformative, especially for your zodiac sign. I do particularly feel there can be some ironing out of the creases, and you've had to really shift focus onto what part you have in connections, what part they have in situations. So at times it can be very extreme where you are feeling very defiant and no, this is how I see things. And then other times we can be quite passive, and it's showing both sides of the coin. There could be some major changes that are happening in your own life, regardless of whether you do or don't have children. There is opportunities for pregnancy. So I would give you an FYI at that zone. The other thing I can say is if there are changes happening at home surrounding your family and their family, it might have caused conflict and fights. You also can be mirroring each other into that way. I would particularly say that if you were trying to negotiate terms of a holiday, of a get together, there are potentials coming through in the first week. It may dissipate later, but it could be ideals and values that did come up that were causing a lot of conflict. Some of you might have been looking at an investment or your financial sector because you were wanting to invest in something, and there might have been some insecurity surrounding that moving forward. Look, strong relationships will definitely thrive. Others, there could still be some niggling energy through to March where it does come to the communication style. You within your image, it has been a little bit difficult for you over, like I mentioned, the last few years, and especially in the first week, there still can be that dynamic coming up. I would particularly say be careful of pacifiers and avoidance. I do tend to feel that February is a time we can get grounded, but it's also a time that if we think something is super serious and we don't address it, it's only going to come up later. So make sure you know your limitations. Make sure that you know when something needs addressing, especially if it came down to coaching, therapy, or anything to that degree. If you felt you needed it, really seeking a professional so that you can get to your destination of where you want to be in your life. I definitely do feel some beautiful opportunities can come to you this way. And you also could have some opportunities land in your lap. You may be taking on a lot more responsibility this year. This can be due to wanting to invest in something, or because you directly are going to be added more responsibility through your career sector, which we will be looking at shortly. Particularly if you are lacking in confidence and there has been emotions coming up, I do particularly feel over the next 2 months, eating on the run is one theme that can come up. Emotional eating also can come up, but really looking at it, and it can be more psychological than a physical situation. So yet again, journaling can be really handy. Kicking habits. I do feel by mid-month we can be looking at those things and saying, okay, is this something that's taking me to my destination, or is this something that I'm using as a band-aid and it's really not taking the pain body experience away, so to speak. I do feel it's going to be quite critical by mid-month. Not that I think it's terrible energy, but it's almost going to be a little bit eye-opening that we're going to realize, hey, hang on a minute, is this really bugging in me and pulling me back? If it is, I need to pull the toenail out metaphorically and address it so it doesn't hinder the rest of my movement moving forward. Career for you is a big game changer, and I do really feel, again, I have felt you guys for a while have maybe been stuck in an eat, pray, repeat. Some of you have been quite concentrated and fixated on that as either a goal or how can I say, what your identity is, how you see yourself in the world, how you show up in the world, and that can be your image and your status and your reputation. I do particularly feel some of you, if you're not happy, you may transition over, but very separately, I do particularly feel reading the fine print, looking at contracts, maybe wanting to create a savings plan and therefore wanting to do that. I feel you're going to have more confidence that you're not going to put up with, something that is well below your belt. And I also feel having confidence, particularly, you can get a lot more this month. And I do feel you're going to have the gift of the gab. You're going to be super busy, but I do particularly feel don't undersell yourself. Really think back, make sure that your resume is up to date, particularly if you are trying to negotiate terms surrounding, a pay rise. I think this will come later on, more to the mid-month zone, but there also could be more responsibilities involved. So if it is transitioning, you could be going up a level. Some of you, it could be you're taking on a large project at work. You also could be in a more superior position, and it is a brand new chapter. So yes, that also in the wealth zone can bring more money. Business related dynamics for those of you running a business, it might have been a bit tedious for you, as I mentioned, and it could have been quite tumultuous, but I do feel what it has actually helped us do, Taurus, especially for you as an individual, is over the last few years, if you had been running a business, regardless, even if you are just now, this time has really taught you how to stay relevant, in a niche market. I always find that Mercury retrograde gives us a heads up of, how we can run that circumstance, reviewing our contracts. I directly do feel in the area of education and upskilling, you could be taking a role on in some shape or form in that domain. You could feel you need to how could I say, advertise. Advertising will become a lot easier, and getting the word out. I keep hearing get the word out, big bird, so I do particularly feel there can be growth. You can be reaching the masses, and you may be looking at ways you can implement that. You may at a point need to employ more people for a growing business for some of you. The other thing is trying to be everything for everyone is really going to make you less relevant. So it could be that you're having to understand your niche market in order to get the success in that domain. Now, as I mentioned, wealth, yes, mid-month, I do see a pocket where more can be coming in, potential pay rises. You also could be directly investing in a large purchase. Now, could that be a home for some of you? Yes, it could be. For some of you, it could be a large ticket item, and you could be spending a lot more. Try to keep a little bit back for March as we transition over, if possible. Your wellness sector also might be more mindfulness and the stress levels. And I feel it's going to be very important to enter into this month and each month this year. One of my big tips I'm giving away will be to really go into it instead of coming into 2023 in January and saying, hey, I'm making New Year's resolutions. Pull it down to bite-sized resolutions and almost, use the energy each month to go, okay, what is my plan of action this month? What did I learn from it? Really take stock of it. I feel if you can do that, you can have a little bit of personal time for you as well as evidence-based that you're actually making progression. Wellness, I do particularly feel be cautious of pacifiers. I would say the first week of February into mid-month. You may be, this is a time where we could kick habits, but it's also a time where habits can crop up and they can be long-lasting. Long-lasting, let's put it that way. So what we're wanting to do is set the tone for the year and not go into it making situations worse, but definitely making it better so we can achieve our hopes and dreams and deal with our health and wellness in a very balanced way, in a loving way, without burning ourselves out. Love and light. If you do want a booking, you can go to all my information below or go to yildizreadings.com. Very separately, we have the mid-month romance house. If you do want to come through and have a look, join us and stay tuned because, as mentioned, we have weekly content. Don't forget to click the bell and subscribe. Otherwise, you may miss a drop.